So I saw this video of a woman crying while she's recording her husband walking in front of her, and not like slightly ahead because he's grabbing something or he's rushing to the car. No. It's like 10 feet ahead. She's behind him trying to keep up, and he's just walking like she's not even there. And I want to talk about it because people will look at this and say, it's not that deep. It's just walking. Or they'll go, maybe he walks fast. Maybe he didn't realize. Maybe she's being dramatic. But women know exactly why this video hit so hard. Because it's not about walking. It's about what walking in front communicates. It's about how small, everyday behaviors show you what someone really thinks of you. It's about the way patriarchy trains men to center themselves and trains women to swallow the message. Let's break down what's happening here. When a man consistently walks ahead of his partner, especially when she's clearly distressed, and he does it as a habit, what he's saying without words is, my pace is the pace. My direction is the direction. You are the add-on. You can follow. It sounds harsh, but that's the dynamic. That's why it hurts. Because walking together is basic companionship. It's one of those tiny daily moments that says, we're a team. We're moving through the world together. And when that's missing, the woman isn't just feeling lonely in that moment. She's usually feeling the weight of a pattern like, this is what our relationship is. I'm always adjusting. I'm always catching up. I'm always trying to be close to someone who acts like closeness is optional. Patriarchy doesn't just show up in pay gaps and laws and politics. It shows up in everyday body language. Who takes up space? Who sets the pace? Who expects to be considered without considering anyone else? A lot of men are taught, subtly or explicitly, that they don't need to coordinate with a woman. They don't need to match her pace. They don't need to monitor her comfort. They're trained to move like individuals, even when they're in relationships. Like the relationship is something that fits around them. And women are trained to do the opposite. Women are trained to be aware, to anticipate, to avoid being difficult, to not ruin the mood, to not nag, to not be too needy. So she walks behind him, and she's crying because it's not just physical distance. It's emotional distance being acted out in public. And I want to say something that might make people uncomfortable. This kind of behavior is often a form of low-grade disrespect. Not always conscious, not always calculated, but still disrespect. Because if you care about someone, you naturally check in. You naturally glance back. You naturally slow down if they're behind you. You walk with them. You match them. You move together. When you don't do that, you're communicating something. And women pick up on it because women have to. Women survive by reading cues, by noticing shifts in tone, by understanding what's not being said. Now, what are the causes? Why do some men do this? One cause is simple: selfishness. A man is thinking about himself and only himself. He's in his own world. He wants to get where he's going. He doesn't want to be interrupted. He doesn't want to deal with her emotions. And walking ahead is a way to avoid engagement. Another cause is emotional avoidance. Some men feel uncomfortable with intimacy, not just physical intimacy, but emotional closeness in public. Walking side by side invites conversation, connection, noticing. Walking ahead creates separation. It gives him control over how much access she has to him. Another cause is status behavior. And I know people hate when we talk about status, but it's real. In some men's heads, being seen as with her is not a neutral thing, especially if he's unhappy in the relationship, or he's checked out, or he's resentful, or he's embarrassed, or he thinks he can do better. Walking ahead is a body language way of saying, I'm not attached to you. I'm not responsible for you. I'm not presenting us as a unit. And that is brutal, because women are not stupid. They feel it. Another cause is gendered entitlement. Patriarchy teaches men that the world accommodates them. The default is the woman follows. The woman adapts. The woman carries the emotional work. The woman smooths things over. The woman keeps the peace. So he sets the pace and she tries not to make it a thing. And then people wonder why women explode later, because it's death by 1,000 cuts. It's years of feeling like you're trailing behind someone, physically and emotionally. And if you're listening to this and you're thinking, okay, but it's just walking, I want you to test that idea. Imagine you're walking with a friend you respect. Would you do that? Like consistently? 10 feet ahead? Never matching them? Never checking if they're okay? If they're keeping up? If they want to stop? No, you wouldn't. Because you know it would be rude. You know it communicates you don't care. So why is it not that deep when it's a woman and her husband? Because patriarchy normalizes women being treated like accessories. Now let's talk about how this affects women. First, it messes with your sense of worth. Because the message is, you're not someone I'm proud to stand beside. You're not someone I'm excited to be with. And even if he denies it verbally, his body language keeps repeating it. Second, it creates anxiety. You start second-guessing yourself. Am I too slow? Am I annoying? Am I embarrassing? Should I stop asking for closeness? And that's the trap. Because then you start shrinking yourself to fit his comfort. Third, it trains women into loneliness inside relationships. And that is one of the most damaging forms of loneliness, because it's not like being single. It's being with someone who is supposed to be your person and still feeling invisible. Fourth, it makes women overcompensate. A lot of women respond by trying harder, being more agreeable, more helpful, less demanding, less emotional, more cool, more easy. And patriarchy loves that, because it keeps women in the role of managing men's comfort. But here's the important part. The solution is not for women to become quieter. The solution is for men to learn that partnership is coordination. It's awareness. It's mutuality. Now let's be fair for a second. Sometimes a man walks ahead because he genuinely doesn't notice. Sometimes it's a habit. Sometimes he grew up in a household where men walked ahead and women followed and nobody ever talked about it. But here's the line. If your partner tells you it hurts them and you keep doing it, now it's not an accident. It's a decision. The harm becomes intentional because you're choosing not to care. And that is where the patriarchy analysis really matters, because patriarchy gives men permission to dismiss women's emotional reality. It teaches men that women's feelings are overreactions. It teaches men that correcting their behavior is being controlled. It teaches men that accountability is an attack. So the woman crying in that video? She's not crying because she wants attention. She's crying because she's realizing something. She's realizing that her husband would rather protect his ego than protect her heart. And the comments on videos like that always split into two camps. Women saying, I've lived this, and men saying, she's dramatic. And that split is the whole problem. Because women are describing what it feels like to be treated as an inconvenience, and men are responding to the accusation instead of the reality. That's patriarchy in action. Defensiveness over empathy. So what do we do with this? If you're a woman and you relate to this, the first thing is, don't gaslight yourself. If you feel lonely in your relationship, you don't need a jury to validate it. Patterns are real. Body language is real. Small behaviors add up. Second, name it clearly. Not in a begging way. Not in a please love me way. In a standards way. Like, when you walk ahead of me, I feel dismissed. I need us to walk together. Simple. And then watch the response, because his response tells you everything. A man who respects you will go, oh, I didn't realize. I'm sorry. And he will change. Not perfectly, but consistently. A man who benefits from patriarchy will argue. He'll minimize. He'll mock. He'll make you feel crazy for wanting basic companionship. He'll turn it into, you're too sensitive. And if that's the response, it's not about walking. It's about the fact that he doesn't want to adjust himself for you. Ever. And if you're a man watching this and you genuinely care, here's the simplest test. Match her pace. Walk beside her. Check in. Don't make closeness feel like a burden. Don't make her beg for connection. If you love someone, you don't leave them behind, literally or emotionally. And that's why this video matters. It's a small moment that exposes a huge truth. Patriarchy doesn't always look like violence or screaming. Sometimes it looks like a man walking 10 feet ahead while his wife cries behind him, and the world telling her she's overreacting. If you've experienced this, whether it was walking behind a man or constantly feeling like you're chasing him emotionally, tell me in the comments. And if you want more breakdowns like this, follow the channel. We're going to keep talking about the things women are told to let go of, even though those things are exactly what breaks us down over time.